Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would share with you my labor and delivery story, as it has definitely been several weeks since I have been meaning to do this, and it's been several weeks since I have had our little one. And I also thought that I would introduce you guys to our little girl, as some of you have been definitely waiting to see her and have been asking about her name and all that stuff, and I just haven't said it yet. So I will introduce you to her, and hopefully she'll be awake for that as she's sleeping right now. One of the reasons I definitely wanted to film this and get this out there is because things are starting to get fuzzy, and I wanted to remember all these little details down the road when she is older, and for myself. But also there are just so many of these videos on YouTube, and I definitely watched them while I was pregnant, and there's definitely some scary ones. It definitely gave me anxiety watching them because they're just, you know, traumatizing sounding. So I wanted to put out a positive labor and delivery story because I went through a bunch of different things that a lot of women went through that, you know, that I heard of having a really bad experience with, and I had the opposite experience. My delivery was wonderful. So I just wanted to put this out there for anyone else who is going through that same kind of anxiety, hearing all these crazy stories, and knowing that you're not alone and that it's going to be okay. So at about 37 weeks, I started getting checked to see how far I was progressing, and every single time up until then I was roughly about a centimeter. So and my cervix was starting to soften, but it was not really getting going, and that was definitely discouraging. So at about 39 weeks I got checked again, and still no progress. And Jeremy and I had been talking about our options as far as what we were going to do after we've hit our due date, because I don't know if anybody remembers, but I had that kind of mix up about someone saying I'm this far along and someone saying I'm a week further along, and not really knowing for sure my due date, what we could be expecting it to be on. So at 39 weeks, we talked to our midwife about feeling pretty strongly about definitely not wanting to go past 41 weeks. But our concerns, because of our due date not really being something reliable to go off of, technically at 40 weeks I could be 41 weeks. So once we hit the 40 week mark, we told her that we felt pretty strongly about not wanting to go too far past that, just because it could be even further that we're going past. So we scheduled our induction date when I was 39 weeks, and just we'll see what happens. 40 weeks came along, and 40 weeks went, still no progress, and still no baby. So we were scheduled to go in on September 13th at 5 o'clock to start the induction process. We were scheduled to go in around 5 o'clock to the hospital to start what's called Cervidil. It's basically just to kind of push my body along and try to help soften my cervix so that I would have more of a chance of having a successful delivery the way that I wanted to, doing it vaginally and not doing a C-section, obviously. She's so awake right now. Anyways, so we were scheduled at 5 o'clock. We didn't end up going in until about 6:30 because we were running errands, we were getting the house ready, we were doing last minute things, and we were like, well, you know, let's just call them and we'll be there at 6:30, and they were like, okay. So we ended up getting at 6:30, got in the hospital room, got the hospital gown on, which I definitely purchased because those things are nasty, and I put the nasty one on when things started to get crazy. Anyways, so things definitely started to get a little bit more surreal at that point. So I had to be hooked up to the monitors for around 30 to 45 minutes before anything would get started. and you know, I got paperwork and all that kind of stuff taken care of. So it wasn't until about 8 o'clock, 8:30ish, that the Cervidil was actually put in, and they told me to lay down, don't move, try not to move too much, and for about 2 hours, and then I could get up and go to the restroom and carefully go to the restroom, and I could have dinner. I could eat anything up until midnight. I don't really remember why they said to not eat after that, but after midnight I was strictly on clear liquids, and they would let me have Jello and popsicles, which I didn't end up taking advantage of. Whatever. Anyways, so I had dinner. We went to bed around 12 o'clock with me really not feeling much of anything happening. They told me that it might start some mild contractions, some cramping and stuff like that, but hopefully it would push me along, and some women have actually started labor because of the Cervidil. So I was like, maybe that will happen, and that would be cool, and we can get some progression because of this. So I went to sleep around midnight. We went to sleep around midnight, and I got up and went to the restroom, and around 2 o'clock is when I got up, and the Cervidil fell out by itself, which kind of concerned me because I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to start completely over, and this is awful because it needed to be in for a certain amount of time. And they came in and they were like, you know what, let's just they were like, you know what, let's just continue with the original plan. Let's just go with you just relax for the rest of the night, and around 5 o'clock I'm going to wake you up and we will get you a shower, which was fabulous that they let me do that. Get you a shower and start things going. And so I went to sleep, and surprisingly after the Cervidil fell out was when my contractions started, and it wasn't something super intense, but it was kind of just like mild cramping, like period cramping, and I was able to get a little bit of sleep through that, but it was definitely uncomfortable. By the time that they woke me up around 5 o'clock, I was in a lot of pain. It was, I mean, I could definitely still breathe through it, so I don't think it was at that point active labor pains, but it had definitely started to pick up. I will also mention that we totally fought the nurse about getting the IV started and just capped off. And I was really thankful for that, because once they put that in, I was like, I would have not been able to sleep with this thing and the contractions going on at the same time. It just wouldn't have happened. Anyways, so 5 o'clock came around and I got my shower, and that was an interesting shower because I was in so much pain at that point. I got in bed, they got the IV started, which Jeremy said he almost passed out watching because he just doesn't do blood, and I guess our nurse just didn't do it very well. That was probably one of the more uncomfortable parts of the experience. So we got that started. We got some fluids started in me, and they went ahead and started the antibiotics that I needed before we really got too far into things. And so we had to have that going for a little bit, and at that point I was definitely in active labor, I think. Yeah, I was definitely feeling a lot, but I did find out that I was from 1-ish kind of in dilation into about I was like dilated to like about a 3 or a 4 come 5 o'clock. So those contractions in the middle of the night were definitely doing something, which was fantastic. It wasn't for nothing. Anyways, so once things started to get going as far as the IVs and the fluids, I was about a 3. And they had me going on the fluids and the antibiotics a little bit before they started the Pitocin. So they gave me a little bit of, I don't even remember the name of it, but it was some kind of pain medicine to help me kind of just take the edge off just a little bit. And they said that we can give you one of them and it will definitely help for a couple of hours. We can give you another dosage of it, but it won't be as effective. So maybe at that point we can start your Pitocin and stuff like that. So it was about 7 o'clock by the time that that was given to me. because of, you know, I was taking a shower at 5:30 and they started the IV and the fluids and all that stuff. So it was about 7 o'clock that was given to me. I was able to sleep for about 2.5 hours, and we had started a movie, and we started Due Date, and Jeremy said that I was out within the first 5 minutes. But I was happy that I was able to sleep a little bit more and get some energy going in me. So at around 9 or 10 o'clock, they came in and they were ready to start the Pitocin, but they gave me the option, since I was already planning on doing the epidural. I already knew that that was something that I wanted to definitely do, especially at that point. I had woken up and the cramping the medicine had definitely worn off, and I was definitely feeling a lot at that point. And so they were like, so we're about to start the Pitocin, but you can go ahead and get your epidural if you are wanting to do that. And I said yes. I was definitely ready for that at that point. Just go ahead and do it. Let's just, you know, I know that that's a controversial kind of thing, but I wanted to be comfortable and wanted to be relaxed for her coming in to not such a stressed out state. So we started the epidural, and I will say that the epidural, I guess I had just read so many stories and heard so many different things, and, you know, things that can happen. And that's when that was the only time that I kind of lost it with my emotions. And I definitely was scared, and just about the unknown. I didn't know, you know, what to tell them, if I was going to be able to tell them if it was right in the center of my back. And it was just a scary time. And Jeremy said that that was the most helpless part about the whole thing for him, that he could see that I was super scared and super nervous, but there was really nothing he can do. So he just held me, and we got through it. And it wasn't the best feeling in the world. I say that, and I say that, but it wasn't the worst feeling in the world either. A lot of people say it feels like a bee sting, and I don't think that that's accurate. I don't think that that's accurate. I can't even explain what it feels like, but it's not something that I would not have again, though. The next child, I definitely will still get it. I will kind of be dreading the time getting it, but it wasn't that bad. So, especially because afterwards, I felt nothing. It was glorious. I felt like a human again for the first time in several months. So the epidural was given around 10 o'clock, 10:30. We had it wrapped up and it was ready to go, and we were good to go. That's when they started a little bit of Pitocin, and that is also when I stopped feeling things. It was great. So at that point, family was kind of able to come in, and we were able to visit, and I was definitely able to relax a whole lot more and kind of enjoy myself with everybody, and kind of start getting excited because I wasn't so stressed out and in a lot of pain. It was around 1-ish that the doctor came in, and he checked me again, and he was like, okay, you are about at a 9. And even the nurses were like, what? She was just at a 3. And he was like, yeah, you're about at a 9. I'm going to go to lunch, and we should be ready to go very soon. So the family came back in, and we were kind of like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. They sat my bed up and said that that was how I was going to be delivering, and I was like, I don't know about this, but I was just kind of going with it because I feel like whatever. So I was sitting up a little bit and kind of visiting with everybody while we were waiting for me to get to the point where I was ready to go. And I started feeling contractions. I was like, Jeremy, I feel this, I feel everything. Not everything, it was starting in my stomach that I was definitely feeling the contractions again, and they were pretty intense at that point since I was about ready to go. So we had the nurse come back in, and she basically was like, it sounds like the medicine is kind of just, gravity is doing its thing and it's coming down your feet, and that was definitely accurate. My feet felt like elephants. So they laid me back and they called the anesthesiologist or something like that, the person who was giving me the medicine, and said, and she said that go ahead and give me a little bit more of the epidural to kind of take care of that situation. And so they did. They gave me a little bit more of it, and at that point I had not even had half of the Pitocin bag, like not even half of it, which kind of was crazy because I was at a 9 at that point. I was like, what the heck? But they said that the contractions after the cervical falling out did things, and then the little bit of Pitocin kind of just pushed me to where I was, which was fabulous. So they gave me a little bit more of that epidural and laid me back down like I asked them to, so that wouldn't happen again, because my luck, you know, it would run out right when it's time to start pushing. And I sat around with the family again a little bit longer. 2:30ish they came on and they checked me again, and they were like, okay, it's time. And I was like, holy crap, this is about to happen. So they let the family back in, and we kind of gave hugs and good lucks, and lots of emotions at that point were starting, and people started coming in and started to get things going in the room and having everything ready. And our nurses, which they were fabulous, they were absolutely fabulous. They had me do starting to get some practice pushes, and they basically were like, okay, doing a really good job, you're a natural, I guess. And after about, I would say, maybe 5 or 10 minutes of pushing, they were like, okay, stop pushing. Stop pushing, because if we keep practicing, we're gonna have this baby right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, is it really that soon? And they're like, yeah, she's literally right there. You can feel her head. And do you want to feel her head? And I was like, no, let's just get her out. So they called Dr. Martin, and he was across the street at the OB at the office, and they had him come over, and they had me do a couple more pushes. I think that I ended up doing only about 4 or 5 good pushes, just to kind of practice, and then like 2 of those were like to keep her engaged. He got there, and apparently there was a situation with another woman right across from me who was ready to go as well, but definitely was not as far along, like as ready to go. And the nurses were going back and forth saying, no, we're ready to go. No, we're ready to go. Well, she is definitely further, and the other person apparently had twins, and so that was another issue. But we ended up having him in our room first because they were like, seriously, give us 10 minutes, she's gonna be done. And that was pretty accurate. It was about 3 o'clock that he showed up, and by the time that he was there and we he got everything ready to go, everything was in place, they told me to push, and I pushed about 4 times total, and at 3:26 she was born, which was absolutely insane. I still feel like it's a little surreal that it was as quick as it was. They said that had I not chosen to do the induction, I probably would have gone naturally very, very shortly after, but things just happened the way that they did in a very positive way, and I'm very, very thankful for that, because I heard so many stories about the Pitocin and the Cervidil and all these different things just making labor super, super excruciating and uncomfortable and the worst experience of their lives. And it, honestly, because of the way that we did it, I was very relaxed, and I was very, I felt not in control, because, you know, I had no idea how quickly things would go, because again, I heard that it would take even longer getting induced. But I just felt like, you know, I was in good hands, and they knew what they were doing, and I trusted them. And Jeremy and I, you know, we were able to share lots of really fun moments in the hospital because of the way that we did it. And we have our little girl, and I'm super excited about that. After she was born, I did find out that she, not around her neck, but the cord was short to begin with, but it was wrapped around her stomach. And so that was one of the issues that they kind of were like fiddling with, and they placed her on my chest, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And we're trying to clean her up a little bit, and I later found out that they took her away a little bit sooner than they normally would have, because they noticed that she wasn't breathing as well as they would have liked. So they were cleaning her up over there, and they ended up doing about 30 minutes of oxygen on her to get her oxygen count up. And that was while I was I toured just a little bit, and so they were fixing me up and getting me better. But I was fine. I mean, I was laughing, I was smiling. It was a beautiful experience. I still didn't really feel anything at that point, and so I was just in awe. It's hard to explain that feeling. It was just utter love at that point, and the room was just full of excitement. And they ended up having her cleaned up, and they ended up placing her on my chest to try and see if that would help a little bit with the oxygen. And it did actually end up helping, and she was breathing a lot better. And they took her and did a little bit more, and then we were able to nurse for the first time, which she latched right on, did a wonderful job, and we nursed for a little bit. And it was just crazy. It was just crazy. I loved it. It was amazing. And so they did her footprints and all of that stuff, and then our family was able to come in after a little bit and hold her and see us, and that was exciting. And but they did come in very, very quickly afterwards and said, you know, we've got to get you moved upstairs to your room, and we'll have to get everyone out. And so we kind of had to pass her around really fast to everyone and let everyone see her. But we went upstairs, and she had to do about 2 hours in the nursery. The hospital that I have doesn't have like a nursery where like they just go and just watch them while I'm by myself without her. They keep her in the rooms with the parents if nothing's wrong, but because they wanted to do keep an eye on her because of the whole oxygen thing, they had her in there. They said they were going to do for 2 hours. I was able to go in and nurse again, and family was able to kind of go one at a time and go see her. But after I nursed, her, they were like, okay, we'll bring her back in a little bit. And then they were like, she's fine. She's 100% now. Like, she's great. She's ready to go. So it only ended up being about an hour, and some of that I was with her. So yeah, that was kind of crazy too, that happened quicker than they thought that it was going to happen. Anyways, she came in the room, and we were able to have more family see her and meet her, and I was able to be with her, and we were able to spend the night with her, and she was wonderful. Like, obviously she was waking up to eat and be changed, and it was rough trying to get some sleep because people were coming in and out. But I think I was just had such an adrenaline because I was just so excited that it didn't really bother me. I at that point was definitely in some pain as far as just, you know, I just had a baby. I was just sore, and so I was being taken care of that way as well, as far as having the medicine that I needed. So we ended up leaving on Wednesday. So we had her on Monday the 14th, September 14th, and ended up leaving that Wednesday. And I was nervous. You know, I've never really been around babies before being around her. I've never even changed a diaper in my life, and that was kind of crazy of me. But I was nervous. I was definitely nervous. We didn't have that call button. And we didn't have the people to help me with the lactation consultants came several times over to help me, and we didn't have them sitting right there helping me and being able to nurse right. It was just us. So we got home, and I was definitely nervous, but we have transitioned into being parents fairly quickly. It kind of has just been a natural adjustment. She fits right in with our family. Neither of us are very wild people or very, you know, extravagantly going out all the time. we are just in awe of her and love her very, 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 very much. Our puppy is definitely still adjusting to there being another baby in the house, but it's just been fabulous. It's been wonderful. Nursing is going great. I'm great. Life is just great. So this is Miss Aubrey Elizabeth. We are absolutely in love. We really don't have any kind of reasoning behind the name other than we just liked it and something that we both agreed on, both Jeremy and I agreed on. We are absolutely in love with her, and she has been our little blessing and just has fit right in with our family. So you will definitely be seeing her a whole lot more in the future, and I'm gonna go feed her. Thank you guys so much for watching this incredibly long video. I know it's a lot of details, but I definitely wanted to remember them for myself and for my family. If you're interested in what's going on in our lives, please stay tuned for our weekly vlogs that I'm going to be uploading. There's going to be lots of this little one in there. And you can also check us out on my Instagram. It's Our Smith Nest as well. And you can see probably pretty much daily pictures of this little girl if you care at all what's going on with her. And I am definitely going to be trying to stay better about getting videos posted. It is a lot of work, but definitely something I'm still trying to figure out how to get done. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you next time.